Everyday things.
What was it? Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy.
Oh, that was a good match.
That was. I loved how MJF is like, hey, end the match now. End it now.
Full death. Full death right now.
MJF just screws them out of their win. It's like, come on.
It's like Daddy needs a win.
Brody Lee being announced as the Exalted One.
So that one caught me by surprise because I really haven't been paying attention to like rumors for the past couple of weeks. So
how did you feel about it then? Because
I love it. I love it, but they were also like WWE was also like kind of teasing that Matt Hardy was still going to be in WWE. So I was like, okay, now that he's not the Exalted One, which everyone thought he was going to be, he's going to go back to WWE to do some kind of thing, you know. But obviously, that's not the case.
Yeah,
as we find out later. But
I thought it was like Peter called it. Like he had said it right before. It's like I think it's Burley. I'm like I'm all for it. And it's funny because it's like I think this would have been a completely different thing had it been. Is this the one I was supposed to see in Rochester?
Yes.
Okay, so had it been in front of a live crowd, a lot of people have complained that it's like, okay, they've been overdoing the blackouts, where it's like blackout, lights back up, and it's a different person. I can see to a degree why people are saying that, because for like a string of like 3 months, they did it once a month, it felt like. 3 months straight, and it's like, okay, that's a bit much. So the fact there wasn't a crowd, they didn't necessarily have to do a blackout. They played it like a blackout, and where they cut to the video promo, and when the camera cut back, he's right behind them. But at least it wasn't a blackout to the crowd. Also, I'm curious as to what the crowd would have thought, because they didn't really hint that it would be Brody at all, or at least not that I've seen. So I'm curious, like, oh, would the crowd have reacted? And it's like, you know, maybe this is for the best, because it's like, okay, we have a chance to solidify him without having to murder him at the same time, having the crowd going boo or anything like, oh, we don't believe this crap.
Well, I think the crowd would have loved it, considering the fact that we know how good he is. And
I like to think so, but sometimes you never know.
Like, are you thinking of like the fact that they signed another former WWE superstar, or
it could have depended on that crowd itself? Like maybe that crowd itself would have been like, oh, another WWE guy. Also, it would have been a completely different segment had it been in front of a live crowd. I don't think it would have been like the Christopher Daniels being involved and calling it out, and then the way it went down. I think it would have been.
The way they did it was perfect with no crowd.
Yeah,
the way
I think it would have been different had there been a crowd. Who knows? Maybe it would have been the main event segment. I doubt it, considering what happened later in this episode. But who knows? I guess we can just jump to it, because after that, I think was the main event.
Hold on. Yeah. I got it pulled up a little bit.
Okay, cool. At least one of us are prepared.
Yeah, well, it was the main event.
Okay. So can we just talk about fuck the entrances? Let's just jump to the part where Sammy's just singing.
Oh yeah, I was like, this is awesome. Like I thought for a second that, you know, everyone that's on ringside was going to start singing, but it really was just Sammy and MJF. And then you hear JR just like, stop it.
Honestly, that was perfect, because it's like, okay, it makes sense that the good guys wouldn't be singing his music. It makes sense that it'd be Sammy and MJF of all people. When they give Sammy the mic, that's what, okay, I was done. And I think the best part about him singing it was he was jokingly like blown up, like he was out of breath. And then like at one point he just couldn't remember the words because he was so just exhausted. And then he starts repeating the chorus at the very end. It's like, okay, bro, okay, you're good. You're good. You don't have to keep going. And then Jericho at one point while he's singing just stands back up like, yeah, that's right. That's right. I want to hear my public singing my music. Like in that moment, I'm like, yo, Sammy's my hero. I can't tell Nige that because she'll kill me. In case anyone wants to know, Nige fucking hates Sammy. Like, so I have this ongoing joke with Peter and his girlfriend. I send her a gif of No Way Jose every time he shows up on Raw. And when I say show up on Raw, I mean like he could be running through the crowd for the WWE 24/7 title. He could be in the background of a segment. Just if he shows up on camera, she gets a gif. Sometimes she doesn't see it for days because she doesn't check her messages very often.
Wow.
So ever since he found out that she hates Sammy, he sends her a gif of Sammy. Now, Nige is a very early sleeper, so sometimes Sammy's not on until the main event, and she's been asleep for an hour already. So the next morning, she'll get up and go, "What the fuck?" And
wake up to the Spanish God.
Yeah, and it's just like, what have I done? At one point, I was actually sending Ash a gif of No Way Jose when I find out that he sends a gif of Sammy, and I'm just like, ooh, I didn't think this plan through at all when I said she hates Sammy. I'm like, oh, if I had realized that, I wouldn't have started this war at all. But here we are. This is where we live now.
You gotta deal with the consequences, buddy.
Have you watched last night's NXT at all?
No, because I heard they weren't doing live matches, so I didn't even bother.
Honestly, I really enjoyed it. Yeah. It was literally just so they opened the show with Todd Phillips, #1 Raw announcer, and Triple H. Like they're clearly on a green screen in Connecticut, and they even said like we're in Stamford, Connecticut, like. And they're basically the hosts of the show. And they cut to, I guess, video promo buildup for Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. And, like, this is, like, they're hyping it up for the first hour of the show. I actually really enjoyed it.
Wait,
like,
they're fighting again?
Yeah. At the last TakeOver, it was Tommaso versus Adam Cole. Johnny cost Tommaso the title. Hit him in the face with a belt. Got beat right there. So we've been dealing with the fallout from that. I'm very weird if I'm not going to watch NXT live. I end up just not watching it at all, even though I have it recorded.
I don't either.
So I just get the highlights from people. I'm sure you do the same.
No, I don't even pay attention to NXT, to be honest.
Like, the only thing you get is probably from me because I just read the highlights, and I might ask you something about it. So the first hour was them building up Johnny versus Tommaso at what it's supposed to be WrestleMania TakeOver, but it's sounding like instead of there being a proper TakeOver the night before WrestleMania, the episode of NXT before WrestleMania is going to be when they do their TakeOver show. Which, that's really cool because it's going to be a stacked card. I'm going to watch that over AEW that night. That's just how it's going to be because it's like, oh, they're going to have these matches, but it's going to be really weird to see a couple of those matches without an audience, but I'm there for it because they're trying. And honestly, again, what else am I going to do? I'm a creature of habit. I just need something to get my mind off of it, and wrestling does that for me every week. I'm looking forward to it. The second hour, they came back to Triple H and Todd Phillips, and they start building up Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. Again, they did a really good job on both of those. Honestly, I would say they're worth watching, just at least for you. And in case you forgot some of their feud, they actually tell you the story from their. Well, let me go back a little bit. They tell you the story of Johnny and Tommaso from them getting a tryout at the Performance Center to what happened recently last week when they fought all over the Performance Center. And especially for since you have been watching recently, it'll catch you up on what's happened the last few months between those two. I would say it's worth watching, especially when it's like, you know what, you're not doing anything else, so why not just watch it? Cool. They did the same for Charlotte and Rhea. They showed you Rhea from how she started in the Mae Young Classic. I keep forgetting she was in the first Mae Young Classic because she looked completely different. Tall, blonde hair, just kind of falls in line with the rest of them, almost kind of thing. Where it's like she just looks like everyone else. Then they show her in the second Mae Young Classic, and it's like, oh, she clearly changed. So again, I would say the show is worth watching, even though it's just recaps. But they gave it to you in a format. It's like, okay, if you've never watched it before, this is a great jumping on point before like a big show.